Thank you for staying with us. You are still watching E Central. We brought you the biggest stories in entertainment. Now we're about to break down this one that seems like the most important. The Federal High Court, as we mentioned in Lagos, has affirmed that the Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria, ARCON, has full legal authority to regulate advertising across all platforms: traditional, digital, and social media, so that includes Instagram. Now, while ARCON can issue violation notices, the power to impose fines lies with the Advertising Offences Tribunal. Now, if you're wondering what does this even mean, well, joining us to break it down, entertainment lawyer Ola Bello. Ella, good to have you on the show.
Yeah, okay.
This is big news. Everyone's talking about this. But I want to ask this question for the average man, what does this ruling mean for people who post it on Instagram, for influencers, for content creators on socials? What does this mean?
Okay, so in the real sense of it, the regulation, there's already an act that provides that expressly, but the judgment is because some people were not happy with it, and then they felt like, okay, they wanted to challenge it, and then the court maintained that is the position, and the regulator has the power to in fact regulate. So it's not really new, because frankly the regulation captures everybody, social media, physical, and everything. And it would interest you to know that the ARCON already, its platform captures everybody, whether it is online or whether it is on physical. But with this new law, it further clarifies all doubts on the position of the law and the power of the regulator.
So what I'm hearing is the fact that this was already in place in the first place, It's just that now, because of the conversation, everyone needs to. So does this change anything? So are you saying that the same principles with anyone who maybe didn't know about this last year would be the same now? Or are we going to see like actual changes to how people used to run socials, content creators and influencers? What do you think?
Frankly, the judgment has the capacity to make people more aware of the regulation and be more mindful of the penalties that could come from advertising without vetting or proper approval. So I feel that there's going to be some level of ripple effects, because people could, ignorance is not an excuse, but people would want to say they didn't know about the regulation before, but now there's even a judgment to that effect. So it's more popular now, and social media content creators would have to, be regulated and apply those regulations. So yeah.
As an entertainment lawyer you are, and I'm thinking there are a few people that this might affect. So would this affect like comedians, musicians, or even filmmakers when they're promoting their work? Or is it just based on certain brands and products? What do you think?
Okay, so for the ARCON Act, if you have a chance to go through it, it's one of the most expansive regulations, because it covers anything you do so far it is advertising. So comedians, music, all of that is going to be captured.
Wow.
So everything is on that. So far you're advertising to a public audience. It's going to be captured.
Interesting. And I guess when we're talking about this now, my mind is thinking, so can ARCON now stop an artist from posting a music promo, perhaps like on Instagram, without approval?
Yes, so essentially it don't stop you, but when you do it without approval or vetting, then you get fined. So yes, the answer is yes. If you post without vetting and approval, then of course you would be liable to some penalty.
Wow. So what you're saying is, if I'm promoting anything as an entertainer, all right, I have to make sure that ARCON has vetted.
Yes, frankly, that is the position of the law on that.
Just for those who are unaware, what would that mean? Would that mean I make a video and I make sure that ARCON hears about it first? Do I need to perhaps apply for a certificate, an ARCON certificate before? What are some of the things you're aware of, especially about being a content creator or being a person in entertainment who wants to make sure that, I abide by the law? What would be that step?
Okay, so the way I see it, is going to be difficult for everybody to want to get license or certification. But the more practical step I see people following is working with already established agencies that have licenses. And then I see social media content creators rally around a unique company or companies that are already certified to go through all this process. In fact, to people working in advertising, it's nothing new really. So content creators would have to partner with all those people to get the relevant. So they wouldn't have to become advertisers or get license at the end of the day, but they can work with people who already, have licenses. So I think that's going to be the reality.
I mean, from what they also did say, ARCON can issue violation notices, but they cannot impose fines, right? So I'm thinking, what would then be the consequences? I know that usually with Nigeria, whether we're just too many people or maybe we're a little slow to adjust, I'm thinking, in the coming days, the coming weeks, the coming months, perhaps, how do we see that there'll be maybe penalties, for maybe those who refuse to follow or claim that they're ignorant about the law?
So to begin with, ignorance will not be an excuse, and then there's a tribunal. There's a tribunal responsible for that. So it's going to be clear evidence that you were not registered if you put an ad without proper vetting or approval. So the tribunal will be in the best position to issue out the penalties. So essentially, there's still going to be penalties involved. So that's the reality.
I guess a part of me, I'm going to confess, Ola, is wondering, what these consequences would be, for a content creator and, how far it will go, because there's no example that we've seen in times past, even though this was already in the law, where maybe an entertainer or someone didn't follow through. So I'm also thinking about this, because I'm thinking a lot of people are also paying attention, like, okay, is it going to be a lengthy process for the approval? Are they expensive processes for creatives in general? Would you have an idea with what that process, would it be so seamless? Because now we're asking that a lot of people who are content creators, a lot of people who are now flooded this space where they now make money, now have to make sure they apply. So I'm thinking, do you think it's going to be a stressful process? Do you think they need to expand, even their capacity to, to take everyone who's now going to be going for this process?
Okay, so working in advertising, I think I have some level of authority to talk about some of these processes. To be fair, ARCON has a lot of work to do. The process for most people has not been really seamless. It's not. It takes about 10 working days to vet all these contents, and that could be a clog in. Like we're trying to, for a country like Nigeria, trying to go as fast as possible. That's a bit of clog in the system. So we need something more accelerated. And also, mind you, it's 10 working days, but if you want to accelerate it, you have to pay a certain amount of money for acceleration. So that's already, makes it worse for people trying to do business. So I believe that ARCON has a lot of work to do, especially now that they are more serious about this social media. You can see social media is not just 3-4 brands, it's thousands at once. So if you want to have a holistic regulation, you must build capacity to make sure that it doesn't stop business or get people frustrated. So on my end, I believe that ARCON still has a lot of work to do, because yes, we are clear now they have the power, but do they have the capacity? Which is the most important part. They have to show capacity to ensure that this process is seamless. 10 working days is too long, to be fair. It's too long for vetting materials. So I believe that ARCON has to develop and show that there's some investment in capacity and then their structure to ensure that this vetting process and approval is facilitated as fast as possible, just so it doesn't affect businesses, and especially like content creators who would want to drop content at the heat of the moment. So yes.
I'm going to be honest, we're in a digital age, so I'm expecting that maybe it could just be an app, an easy way to submit and get it vetted real quick, like you said, so turnaround time. I hope also that it doesn't affect, collaborations, between content creators, talent, especially with international brands as well, because I don't know what that's going to look like. But I wish we had more time to spend. Entertainment lawyer Ola Bello, I want to say thank you for spending time with us and for shedding light on this heavy conversation.
Yeah, thank you for having me.